I am pleased and honored to be the recipient of the Spring 2013 Royal Roads Alumni Excellence Award. As an RRU MBA alumnus and advocate for diversity and inclusion, it is great to see this community celebrate the amazing work that is being done in this area in our boardrooms, our classrooms, and our playgrounds. I share this Excellence Award with RRU. As a learning institution, RRU exemplifies diversity and inclusion in all that they do. RRU's innovative learning model affords learners from across the country and the world the opportunity to continue their education through the various phases of their life. The RRU approach to learning requires learners to work within teams, to collaborate, and to develop together under one unified goal. As an RRU learner, you quickly discover that your success is highly dependent on the overall success of your team and even your cohort. By teaching each learner all that is possible when we embrace the diversity in others, RRU is unleashing their values and beliefs far beyond their physical borders. Whether it was part of the school's original vision or not, there is no doubt that RRU model has created a learning institution which breeds diversity and inclusion. I do, however, look forward to a day when the work I am doing is no longer award-worthy and RRU's inclusive approach no longer noteworthy. I'm here to share my ideas on how I think we can get there. Each one of us here has the power and the influence to create an inclusive environment. We're all here today at the President's Luncheon because of the roles we play in our communities, through our networks and our affiliation with RRU. Inherent in that is a sphere of influence that we all hold. Each day, our thoughts, decisions, and actions, both consciously and unconsciously, are seen and heard by many. And while this can be an exciting and daunting responsibility, there is no denying the power it provides us. We hold power which can be used to shape the future of our communities, giving us the opportunity to influence decisions, thoughts, and actions. Inclusivity begins by approaching the world with an open mind, and the belief that our true potential as a team, corporation, government, or institution is not realized by suppression, but by inclusion. By embracing our differences and exploring diverse perspectives, we discover new opportunities and find innovative solutions. It was RRU that first opened my eyes to the art of all that is possible when you appreciate the differences and level the playing field for all. I will never forget my first days at RRU. At the time, I was a senior director at CIBC in Toronto. Leaving the safe environment of my conservative financial services background, I hopped a plane to Victoria. And inside of 48 hours, I found myself sitting with a team on the RRU campus, wondering how I was going to make it through the next 3 weeks. I was convinced the RRU model was flawed. My team was comprised of an academic, an international journalist, a CEO, a healthcare professional, and me, a banker. What could we possibly have in common? We all came from such different backgrounds, and we were so headstrong in our beliefs, I was certain this was going to be the longest 3 weeks of my life. But that was the beauty. The RRU model, in 2 days, I was being challenged to think differently, to live outside my comfort zone, and to live the values of RRU. In time, I would come to appreciate the perspectives that were being put forward, even though they were different from my own. It wouldn't take me long to see the value in this approach, the benefit that could be derived when we went against the status quo and instead forged a new path. By fostering an inclusive and diverse team, we ensured an innovative output that far exceeded anything we could have accomplished independently. It's not an easy thing to do to be inclusive. Just ask Catherine Switzer. In 1967, The Boston Marathon was in its 70th year, and by far the most prestigious running event of its kind. Catherine Switzer was a 20-year-old university student and a runner. She registered for the race under the name K.W. Switzer, because at the time, the marathon did not allow female entrants. As Catherine tells the story, she didn't set out to start a movement that day. She just wanted to compete. Halfway through the race, fate intervened, and history was made, as a race official, infuriated that a woman was running in his race, chased her down, trying to get the number off her back, frantically screaming, "Get the hell out of my race." Using every ounce of courage she had, Catherine finished the race in 4 hours and 20 minutes. Not only making history, but inspiring a movement that would ever change the face of women's sports. 5 years after her fateful run, the Boston Marathon officially welcomed female entrants. The same year, US Congress enacted Title IX, which made it law to ensure female athletes were given the same opportunity as male athletes. Switzer and the others who followed proved that by challenging the status quo, we can positively change the environment, not just for ourselves, but for those who follow. As the mother of a 15-year-old female basketball player who has dreams of playing in the NCAA and the WNBA, I am forever indebted to Switzer's act of courage. So what does it mean to be inclusive? Being inclusive means you must constantly pull in and leverage the diversity of those around you. There is no doubt it is much easier to fall back on what we know, to defend our position, and to stick to the status quo. However, history has taught us, if you simply stick to the status quo, you will be just that, the same. And eventually the world will leave you behind. A shift in culture and in thinking starts with us. Each one of us drawing on the influence we have in our everyday lives. My experience at RRU left me with a new conviction to challenge the status quo. After graduation, I accepted a new position. As a consultant with Deloitte, I'm always seeking new opportunities and exploring new territories. As I worked more and more with clients, it became clear to me that what these clients were lacking was a comprehensive and effective diversity and inclusion strategy. My passion and commitment to this idea continued to grow over time. But despite my passion, I struggled to find the courage to take the idea to the senior leadership team. I told myself, D&I practice is too different, too outside the box. They'll never accept it. It wouldn't fit in the Deloitte model. Eventually, my passion won out over my fears, and it was with shaking hands and a rapidly beating heart that I shared my vision with my senior leadership team. I had done extensive research into the area and was armed with many examples on how leveraging diversity of thought, inclusion, embracing our differences, and innovation had a positive impact on organizations, leadership, talent, and community. To my surprise, Deloitte didn't think my idea was too different. They saw it as innovative, groundbreaking. Today I lead Deloitte's diversity and inclusion practice, and this honor affords me the opportunity to work with organizations and governments who, like me, see the competitive advantage that is gained by building diversity and inclusion into their strategy. It does, however, take courage to put diversity into action, to be inclusive and to leverage moments that matter, and to challenge the stereotypes. As a gay woman, a wife, and a mother, I deal with this every day, as does my wife and our children, Jordan and Amanda. I often feel guilty for the burden I have put on my children. After all, they are children of a gay parent. But are they really different? I am often in awe of my son and his confidence. He is unfazed by the limits that this world tries to place on him. I recall one afternoon, he invited a new friend over who I had never met. And so I asked him, "Did you tell him I'm gay?" Jordan paused and said, no. Why should I have to tell him? He didn't tell me his parents are straight. He was right. We've taught our children that their family is no different than anyone else's. They live in a home with parents who love them and cherish them, a home that is filled with laughter and affection, hugs and kisses, family and friends, lessons and values. Their home is your home. It's my home, and it's not different at all. As they grow older, I realize that my difference is slowly becoming their advantage. Their world is that much bigger and bolder than when I grew up. My children are much more resilient than I ever was. They are adaptive and curious in ways that lets me know that they will never allow anyone to place a box around them. I believe my children will have the courage to disarm discrimination, racism, homophobia, and other biases that serve only to limit their opportunities and stifle their innovation. I'm not going to lie, constantly fighting against the status quo can get old really quick, even for me. I misplace the courage and do not take every opportunity that I should. But with each new day comes a new opportunity to try again. I try to make the most influence I have to affect change. We all lead by example. Our actions and words are seen by many, and they have a ripple effect. By walking with the courage and fighting for diversity and inclusion, we inevitably empower others to do the same. Affecting change and inspiring innovation is a process. It begins with one decision, one choice, by going beyond your comfort zone and appreciating the diversity of thought, opinions, and beliefs of those who surround you. So I ask you now, what can you do today to engage your communities, your family, your friends, and your colleagues to become more diverse and inclusive? How can you use your power and your influence to discover more effective and innovative solutions to the problems that keep you up at night? As Switzer's story shows us, a movement begins with one simple choice. One act of courage that challenges the status quo. And it in turn inspires and motivates others to follow and do the same. Use your power and your influence to start the conversation. Each of us really does have the power to create an inclusive Canada. Through our sphere of influence and the connections we make, it is through our everyday actions and by seizing the moments as they present themselves that we can do our part in creating a more inclusivity and diversity in our boardrooms, our classrooms, and our playgrounds. Without the support of my amazing wife, Brandy, and the inspiration of Jordan and Amanda, I would not have the courage. So I dedicate this award to the three of them. Thank you.